What does it mean to surrender to God? It sounds rather passive, particularly in the way the word is used in the English language. But surrender is something that, like contentment actually, is not passive. It takes strength and courage to accept what comes to us, particularly when there's not much we can do about it. And so it's an act of faith. Surrender is an act of faith. Now, this person wrote to me, somebody in India who is deeply devoted to the spiritual path, but has all sorts of karmic bombs going off in his life, and still feels a great deal of worry and fear and anger and anxiety. I suspect that that's like a lot of people who are even on the spiritual path, who meditate every day. Things like anxiety and fear don't go away that easily if they're deeply embedded. And you can have a great meditation, you can enjoy serving selflessly, for example, but it's like bouts of hunger. Bouts of fear and anger or anxiety can overcome one really pretty much any time based on, past lives, if you want to put it that way, but if it's somehow deeply embedded in one's emotional karmic DNA. And so that's where the active will of surrender can be understood and used. I had this quote in my response to the inquiry from Jesus: "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and lowly in heart." You see, that humble acceptance that takes courage and willpower is something that brings to us great inner peace. And when we go through the world with God by our side and in our heart, and perhaps in the form of our Guru, Jesus Christ, Lord Krishna, or for many of us, Paramahansa Yogananda, then we have a friend in need, a friend in time. And so it's not that it's sort of like weather, we can't wish it away or will it away, but we deal with it. And the same thing with life's ups and downs and vicissitudes. It's not realistic, probably, for most people who are on the spiritual path to think that's going to solve all your anxieties. That's not the case. Someone who is deeply sincere on the path, who really makes the effort and wants to be free, will probably find that Divine Mother will send to that person the karmic tests that will help them to be free. And those tests will increase the stress and possibly anxiety associated with one's path. You see, you can't get out of it that easily. Spiritual path it is a solution, but it's not a pain reliever, at least not in the obvious egoic sense. It can bring to you the remembrance of your soul, which is transcendent. It's the transcendent nature, the less attached to the body, less attached to the ego and its comforts, state of consciousness that allow us to bravely, courageously, even with joy and humor to a certain degree, to take on what life brings to us. So don't have the false expectation that the spiritual path will solve all your problems on the level of the problems. Rather, the spiritual path, grace and effort combined, will give you the strength, the courage, and the wisdom and the acceptance to deal appropriately with life as it comes to you. Like the game of golf, if your golf ball gets hit into the rough edges of the fairway, you're not allowed to pick it up and throw it on the green grass. You have to hit the ball where it lies. All right, joy.